All right, John Shinn's with us now on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready Hotline. All right, so are you picking Kansas yet? What are we doing here? I mean, we got Kansas number 1, or are you still holding out?
I'm still holding out.
Who you got?
I don't know, probably Iowa State.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we are now with this league. Are we not? Let me ask you this: is it to the point now where the Big 12 might be losing a little bit of ground compared to where it was after the non-conference season ended?
I can buy that. I mean,
well, Kansas State's been a surprise. So, I mean, at least a slight surprise, right? I mean, so that's one for them. I could argue that I don't think it needs much arguing, that Oklahoma has been a bit of a disappointment.
True. Yeah. Texas has been a bit of a disappointment. Yeah. I mean, I want to argue with you. I mean, it's legitimate. It's like we said, they're the dominant team in that bunch.
Do you have do any of these teams right now look like a top 2 seed to you in the NCAA tournament?
No, nor do I think any of them will be. I mean, all of them have. I mean, anybody you think could be. I can point out a loss that says a top 2 seed doesn't lose that game.
John Shinn with us. Why are we at this point with Oklahoma? Why are they just 3-3? In your eyes, what's the biggest reason that they're 3-3 in the conference?
Their late game execution. I mean, I can point to 2 losses right now that it strictly comes down to how you play in the last 3 minutes, and offensively, they can't get a quality shot, and that kind of boggles your mind. But it's all late game execution. I mean, they've got 12 wins, all of them by 10 points. You're gonna have to win some close games in order, to really post a number, and they haven't been able to do that yet. And the other night it was, I think it was 1 for 10 in the last 4 minutes. You got 6 points at the free throw line. You got 1 3 by Isaiah Cousins, and the rest of and then there's a lot of bad shots in there where just all of a sudden they stop running an offense.
Well, if this were the Thunder, there'd be a lot of Thunder fans blaming Scott Brooks for something like that. How much is Lon Kruger to blame for some of these late game snafus?
I don't blame Scott Brooks for it. It's players. I sit there and see. Lon Kruger's not the one who's jacking up a 3. Well, 1 past 3 with 30 seconds left, or with in this case with 24 seconds left on the shot clock. It's not. You can argue that it's poise and things like that, but I don't put it on the coach. This is a veteran team. OU's case, this is a veteran team that should know better. When they run their stuff, they get good shots, but when they don't, it does kind of fall. It falls apart on them. So, but I'm not going to put it on the coach.
John Shinn with us on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready Hotline, our OU insider. You were at the game. I can't now. I was just watching on TV, so tell me if I'm wrong here, but I can't say that I've been watching every Kansas home game, but of the ones I've seen, rarely, and I'm talking about over a period of time, rarely, if ever, have I heard it that quiet like I was hearing it during the Oklahoma comeback. Now, granted, late in the game, I mean, it felt like the crowd was back, as you pointed out to me on Twitter. But did you ever feel that? Did you ever feel the silence?
Yeah. When they were putting that run together, those fans were getting pretty antsy. I mean, and you could see it coming. And Kansas is subject to do that. I was sitting. One of the guys I was sitting next to, they had blown a 21-point lead, I think, against Florida, and a 18-point lead against Georgetown, and a big lead against Utah. And Kansas has some pretty, they are well versed in what's going on, and they could see it happening again. But OU hadn't won up there under Kruger, but they usually played pretty well. up there. That crowd doesn't get to them very often. So but it got real antsy, but all it took was Kansas make one shot or get one stop. And the other deal about that crowd is they know when their team needs them, and they can hop into it at a moment's notice. It doesn't take a dunk or a big three to get them fired up.
I'll never forget it, John, like it was yesterday. I was outside of the Blockbuster Video on 12th and Eastern and more.
This better get good.
Listening to Bob Berry Sr. on the call when Terry Evans hit the three to propel Oklahoma to their last win in Lawrence in 1993. Where was John Shinn at in 1993? Inquiring minds want to know.
Do you really remember that?
I do actually remember that. That was one of the biggest road wins in my lifetime that I can remember OU basketball having. I was
so
a huge
notable
fan
that
then.
you weren't even in front of a TV.
Well, it was a Wednesday night, if I'm not mistaken, and we were on our way back from church.
And you were at Blockbuster.
We're on our way back from church, and the option was go
watch the game or get a movie.
I don't know if the game was on TV, to be honest with you.
Oh, surely it was.
In 1993.
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I don't think it was on TV.
Really?
I would have been in college, but I don't remember seeing the thing. I'm guessing if it was a Wednesday night, it was that old syndication package.
Oh, after the news tape delay?
No, it would have been probably on, I guess it would have been on Channel 34, but I don't remember seeing it. I mean, I don't remember it at all, so I couldn't tell you anything about it.
But what did your hair look like then?
Ask anybody who knows me, outside of some strands of gray hair, exactly like it is now.
Really?
Well done.
Yeah.
You didn't have like the early 90s mullet then or anything like that?
In 90s guys would get a little poofy.
No,
Yeah.
the mullet was done by the early 90s.
Okay. All right.
Mullet, that's a late 80s thing.
Well, if anybody on Twitter can help us out with an old picture of John Shinn, we will gladly accept it. At Big Easy, BIGEZ, or at Todd on Franchise. We will gladly accept that. No doubt about it. Why, if you are in agreement with this, and you might scoff at even the notion, which please do, if you feel that way, but why do you think that this Sooners team recently has played better with TaShawn Thomas off the floor than on?
Well, it definitely it was the case Monday night of he's not, when you got one guy committing about half your turnovers, just putting him on the bench does kind of help. I don't know. I mean, that's the one thing about OU is you could definitely say they haven't reached their ceiling because you haven't seen one of these games where everybody's played well yet, with the exception of Texas. If he plays decent at all, they win that game more than likely. But he didn't. You got more out of DJ Bennett than you did out of TaShawn Thomas Monday. I can't explain it, but you'd have to say it's he's the guy they're trying to integrate into that team who wasn't there last year, and I don't think that's gone as easy as they thought it would be.
I know it kind of felt this way last year, John, and it kind of starting to feel this way again this year. Do you feel like this team kind of goes as Jordan Woodard goes at the point guard position?
I think that's the case of most teams. It's hard to win if your point guard's struggling. He played really good Monday night. Like K-State lost, he didn't play well at all. West Virginia game, he didn't play well at all. He's still, if they have a game where he's making some jump shots, OU's definitely a much better team. He didn't do much of that against Kansas, but when he takes care of the ball, and they're able to run their offense, they're usually pretty effective. But yeah, it has. You haven't seen that jump you were expecting from him from his freshman to his sophomore season this year.
I want you to rate something on your doucheometer.
Okay.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the absolute douchiness. This promo from the upcoming opponent of the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Atlanta Hawks, this promotional gag with the CEO of the Hawks and rapper T.I. Here we go.
Saturday, November 1st, opening night for the Atlanta Hawks. T.I. is going to be there. Stevie K is going to be there. We need you to be there.
You should be there.
Be there.
Make it your business.
Be there.
Yeah, Hustle Gang over everything.
Hustle Gang's going to be there.
For sure.
For shizzle.
That was a nice touch.
You like that?
All right.
I tried.
Wow. Now, is this the owner or the CEO?
CEO. That's what it says on there. CEO. Stevie K is his name. Stevie K. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be promoting the owner now that he wants to sell the team, right?
Yeah, exactly. That seems like something more out of single A baseball in I don't know, like some part of Western North Carolina than it did out of the NBA. But
so you got it up there. You got a high number here.
I'm not going to say douchey, but I'll say it's pretty high up there in terms of that don't sound major league right now.
Oh, I know you wanted to say douchey. You're afraid. All right, we'll leave you. We have made him uncomfortable enough. No, I'm kidding. We'll see you later, buddy.
All right.
All right, man.
Later.
John Shinn, everybody.